Hello friends, welcome back. I'm Beth, here to help you fulfill your potential in meditation. As most of you know, I don't have just one method that I teach to everybody, like one size fits all. Instead, I much prefer to teach people one-on-one. And the reason is that you're all different. So please use these videos as a guideline, and if there's anything that isn't quite working for you, anything that doesn't quite fit, then be in touch and I'll be more than happy to discuss those things with you individually. Today's video is about practicing mastery of the jhanas. I want to speak a little bit about the different types of mastery that we can practice and also why it's so important. It's one thing to be able to get to a jhana, to be able to attain a jhana, to know that state, and it's a whole other thing to be able to master it. And so I hope today I'll be able to encourage you to improve the mastery of your jhana states and bring some of this mastery into your jhana world. Usually when we speak about mastery, we speak about 5 different types of things that we need to master. So let's speak about these one at a time. The first type of mastery is our mastery of entering. And in brief, this means that we can enter the jhana we want whenever we want. So let's say that we've managed to reach the first jhana. Practicing this mastery would mean that we can enter this jhana in any place whenever we want. In monastic life, this would mean we might practice entering the jhana not only on our meditation cushions, but maybe also in the lunch queue or in a dharma talk. Obviously, if you're living in a city, you can make this even more challenging and interesting for yourselves. You could try entering the jhana when you're in the supermarket, on the metro, maybe sitting on a bench in the middle of a busy street. So that's the first mastery, the mastery of entering the jhana of our choice whenever we want. The second mastery is the mastery of staying in the jhana without interruption. This means that we can stay in the jhana without being disturbed by sounds or by thoughts or any other kind of distraction that might come in. Now, one of the things, the really subtle things actually, that does tend to disturb our jhana is investigation. Am I in jhana? Which jhana is it? We're in the middle of the jhana, but we're coming out of it again and again to investigate. So, if we want to practice this mastery of sustaining the jhana, then we need to leave our investigation of the quality of the jhana until we've already emerged at the end of our meditation. So there's a slight irony there. If we want to increase our mastery of sustaining, then we need to not worry about the sustaining whilst we're in the jhana. It's something that we look at afterwards. The third mastery is the mastery of emerging, and this is one of my favourite ones to practice because it's incredible. And this is our capacity to exit the jhana when we want. Now again, when we're actually in the jhana, if the jhana is well established, there's no investigation. So it's not like when we're in the jhana we're aware of, oh, now it's been about 45 minutes, now it's been about an hour. If it's truly jhana, there's no awareness of the time. So how do we emerge from the jhana when we want? Well, the way that we practice this one is to make a determination before we enter the jhana. May my jhana last for, let's say, 1 hour. And then we enter the jhana. And when we emerge from the jhana, we can check the time and we can see, was it 1 hour or not? Now, what most meditators find, oftentimes meditators are amazed by it, is that without knowing what the time was for the whole duration of that jhana, they're able to emerge on time. If we want to make this a little more challenging or interesting for ourselves, then we can try, for example, setting a determination, may my jhana last for 2 hours and 7 minutes. And then when we emerge from the jhana, we can check the time. And you might be really surprised to see that your jhana will last 2 hours and 7 minutes. It sounds trippy, but it is really possible. It's a thing that really happens to meditators. So that's the third mastery, is the mastery of emerging on time. Now the last 2 masteries kind of come together. This is the mastery of reviewing and adverting. And together these mean that when we emerge from our jhana, we know which jhana it was. We know which jhana it was by reviewing, by reflecting on our past experience of the recent jhana. And adverting is our capacity to advert our attention to the jhana factors so that we can be clear which jhana we were in. So those are the different types of mastery that we need to practice. Now, why are they so important? Well, to illustrate this, the Buddha gave a simile, and the simile is of a cow. Now, the cow is eating the grass in one field, and after a while he sees another neighbouring field where the grass is a little bit greener. So he wanders over there and he eats that grass, and then from there he sees another field where the grass is a little greener. He wanders over there and then he sees another field where the grass is, and so on. And going in that way, following the grass that is greener, eventually the cow loses his way. He can't find his way back. And what this simile is supposed to illustrate is that if we wander on, if we allow our minds to drift from one jhana to the next, eventually we lose our way. And it could be that the quality of the lower jhanas becomes weak. Eventually, if we continue to do this a lot, it might be that our whole jhana practice falls apart. So we want to make sure that our mastery of the first jhana is strong before we practice the second jhana, that our mastery of the second jhana is strong before we practice the third jhana, and so on, right the way up through all of the jhanas. It's good for our jhana practice, and it's also really good for our vipassana practice, because it means that we can enter and emerge from the states as and when we want, and we can use these tools as tools to help our vipassana practice deepen. So that's what I have to say today on mastery of the jhana. Now, obviously, you can't be mastering the jhanas whilst you're watching a screen, so get off of the screens, get back onto your meditation cushions and start actually practicing these masteries. It's well worth it for the long-term quality of your meditation journey. If you're encountering any difficulties, if anything isn't working for you, then be in touch and I'll be more than happy to discuss those things with you individually. As most of you know, I do all of my work on a donation basis, so I encourage you to support me either through Patreon or through my website so that I can continue to make these videos. Thank you so much for your support. Wishing you the best with your meditation.